Contenders. Not a whole lot of movement here. Miami was elite. Then they got hurt. Then they showed exactly what we kind of knew in the beginning of the season, which is that this team is thin. One injury away from being a disaster and just being the Tyler Hero show, which I'm just telling you now, it's like not a show you really want to get floor seats to. You know, it's a lot of random threes. It's just him and Duncan Robinson vibing, and PJ Tucker taking $1 million as well, doing his best Draymond Green impression, if you know what I'm saying. Like, both of those guys have terrible threes. Ugh, it's just like they look literally like freshman high school girls shooting and pushing the ball out towards their forehead to the rim. It's terrible. However, it's fun. They're a fun team. Philly, Embiid injury away from being sub 500. Cleveland surprised me. I didn't see them coming at all. Like, I didn't see Evan Mobley being this good. I didn't see Lauri Markkanen being clamps. We did an entire segment on them for good reason. This team, even without Colin Sexton, is amazing. I think Ricky Rubio and Darius Garland together are a very fun, very effective duo. Very well coached. Surprisingly good defense. Just a surprisingly long, athletic, unique squad. Are they going to make any damage? Absolutely not. Are they better than they were? Yes. Atlanta, they've been a disappointment. But truthfully, Atlanta's suffered a lot of injuries to their key guys that play defense. What are they going to be like when they're healthy? I don't know. Like, are they going to be healthy? Probably not. Like, that's been the case last year, through the entire course of last year and into the playoffs. Cam Reddish was hurt. When Cam Reddish wasn't hurt, then DeAndre Hunter was hurt. When DeAndre Hunter wasn't hurt, then you had some other random that's hurt. Now you've got Solomon Hill. He's out for the year. Who is he? Doesn't really matter. He's actually a net negative when he's on the court, so it's probably better that he's gone. But they'll probably need to do something at the deadline for them to be anything. Question marks, a lot of them. Washington, Boston, New York, Charlotte. Let's start with the Wizards, because I know you want to. The Wizards were fun for like 6 weeks. We had a lot of hype. We thought maybe Bradley Beal would be here to stay and that Spencer Dinwiddie was the panacea to all of the problems that Bradley Beal has had his entire career in Washington. And it turns out that Spencer Dinwiddie is not a playmaker. He's not actually a point guard. He can't get his own shot and he can't distribute. So Montrezl Harrell has been tremendous. But this team is random. One night they can hit 1,000,000 threes, and when they're hot, they're great. When they're not hot, this thing looks stagnant. And they're liable to lose to a team like Detroit. To Detroit, which should never be. San Antonio, I mean, just so many losses. And the good ones. Boston is exactly who I said that they would be, a 500 team that doesn't know what to do with two all-stars that really don't seem to play well together. And also, by the way, if you haven't gone to math school, Jaylen Brown has missed more games this season than he's played. He's missed 13 out of the 25 games. I tell you what, that is not a recipe for success, folks. You need that man in, and you need him soon, and it doesn't look like he's going to come back anytime close to now. They're going to struggle. They are going to struggle. Charlotte is fun. They played no defense at the start of the year. They're now missing guys due to COVID. Who knows when they come back? When? I don't know. I thought 10 days had already passed, but New York, they're in free fall. The Kemba Walker experience is done. They're not playing any defense. They went from the 4th best defense in the league to the 27th and 28th worst. They're like literally bottom of the barrel defense now. And they're starting to realize what we all know. Evan Fournier is not good. Evan Fournier is not good. You probably should have kept, Sacre bleu. What'd you say? That French fuck's not great. He's not. He's good until he eats a bad steak. You know what I'm saying? Like, and what is that steak? Probably just what's going on upstairs. Bad dream of bad steak. That's Evan Fournier. Yeah, and like, you know, he probably eats a lot of steak. So it's probably raw as well, knowing if it's Evan Fournier. He's not worth the money. He's very inconsistent. Julius Randle, he's fallen off a cliff post-money. R.J. Barrett isn't shooting threes anymore, which is exactly the opposite direction that you need him to go. Basically a nightmare for Tom Thibodeau. So he should watch his fucking back before he gets stabbed in it. So those teams are question marks. Could be good, probably not. Struggle bus, Toronto, Indiana, Detroit, Orlando. Toronto should be good, but they're not. They're schizophrenic. They've got great outings Scotty Barnes is probably going to be tremendous. Not a good team, though. Like, they could lose to OKC on any given night. They could lose to Detroit on any given night. And they could also beat the Bucks on any given night. So, oh, boy. I don't even know what to say about them except for just hang on. Because now guys can't even travel to Toronto if they're not vaccinated. So, it's hard to decide really what this team is. But they're struggling. Indiana's staring down a rebuild. They're already admitting it. They're trading everyone. Everyone but Malcolm Brogdon. Domantas Sabonis is going to go. Miles Turner is going to go. TJ Warren says he doesn't want to go, but he's probably also going to go. The other rest of the holidays that are still there, I forget which ones, they're probably going. Karis LeVert probably going to go. All of them. Like, literally the entire roster is up for sale, and they've told the world, hey, whatever you want to offer us, we're open to listening. So it's just it's just Malcolm Brogdon, I think, that's untouchable. And probably he's still touchable, if you know what I'm saying. So, and Orlando and Detroit are in rebuild mode forever. Like, forever. Fun, but they're not going anywhere. And these four teams have pretty much separated themselves from everybody else. I doubt they're going to make any upward movement. I don't see any four of these teams ending up in a play-in tournament, getting into the playoffs at all. Everything else is up in the air in the East. Western Conference, it's even more strange. You've got three elite teams. You've got Golden State, you've got Phoenix, you got Utah. We talked about Golden State a lot. We know that's probably the team most likely to come out of the West, if not the Suns. We know the Suns and Golden State are the best. They're pretty close. 7-game series. I hope they play in the Western Conference Finals. I hope it's no sooner. They've got the best rosters. They've got the best coaching. They're the most consistent. And also, most importantly, in the regular season, they want to beat everyone, and they want to beat them by a lot. Like, they don't take nights off like the Nets. Like, you don't see Devin Booker is now missing the game against Houston due to rest. No, absolutely fucking not. Chris Paul missing the game against Oklahoma City due to rest. Absolutely not. There's a reason that they split their season matchup series so far. Like, these teams want to win, they're going to win at home. Those are the teams that actually show up every night. Yeah. The Jazz, I'm a little sus. Like, they're a great regular season team. They're shooting a lot of threes. They're obviously defensively playing a lot better than they did in the playoffs last year. Will they in the playoffs this year? I don't know. Are they a matchup problem for the Warriors in, like, the Western Conference semis? Rudy Gobert is the big question mark. He's just so defensively erratic. I don't know. They give up series in these dramatic, very sad, memeable fashions. Like 3-1 to the Nuggets. They lost that way. They were up on the Clippers without Kawhi. They were up 27 points. They lost that game. Boom, boom, shake the room, go home, night, sleep mask. Like, this is sad. Like, I can't trust them because this is 2 years in a row now that they've gotten my hopes up for them to succeed, gotten ahead of the curve in the playoffs, and then all of a sudden threw up all of themselves. They literally set out Donovan Mitchell for no reason with like an ankle turn. He was totally fine. He wanted to play, and they sat him out for like 2 games. I have no idea what's going on there. No idea. They're like the opposite of they're like the West Coast version of what Budenholzer used to be. Like, great team in the regular season, and they flame out in the playoffs. Contenders. I mean, there's no one. There's just no one else but them. There's nobody else even close but them. That's it. There are 3 teams in the West, and there's no one else. It's just other teams that will make the playoffs and are just the amuse-bouche, the appetizer to these teams to feast to get to the Western Conference semis, Western Conference finals, and then the finals. Everything short of that, it's night-night. I bet all 3 of these teams sweep whoever they play in the first round. It's not close. Question marks: Mavericks, Clippers, Memphis, Lakers, Nuggets, Timberwolves, Spurs. Like, pretty much almost everyone. Everyone else in that list is a question mark. You got Dallas. You got Luka that's fat. Kristaps, who's like apparently one of the better rim protectors in the league this year. But do you trust that? I literally said that it was like his feet were in concrete last year. Do I think that what's happening right now is going to persist? Probably not. No. They probably need to they are injury prone. Luka is 30 pounds overweight right now, he said. He said, I probably hung out a little bit too much on the Adriatic Sea after the Olympics. Like, eating, whatever you were eating. Like Luka, yeah, you're a professional basketball player. You could be one of the best ever, and you're just steady chilling with models and probably bottles and macaroni and cheese. Like, that's you. They need to make a trade. I am shocked they didn't do more, and I think that they need to realize they are in a desperate spot. They've got Luka. They're in a situation kind of like Portland, where they have a franchise-altering star, and they have done nothing to give him any help. And this guy is way more feisty than Dame. He'll just cuss the owners out. He'll coach GM out. He'll cuss coaches out right on the in the sidelines. He'll get you fired like in game 31. So Luka's not fucking playing around, even though he's playing around. I mean, I'm like shocked that they're like, oh, Reggie Bullock didn't move the needle? What? Extending Tim Hardaway Jr. wasn't the move? Like, what are you doing? You need to make a move. You need to do something. Clippers are the Clippers. One moment, Paul George is the best shot maker on the planet Earth, like touching the ground over 3 defenders, spin move, tween, cross, like hitting the most difficult fadeaway, step back. And then the next moment, he's deferring to Reggie Jackson, like Reggie Jackson is Denver Nuggets version of Carmelo Anthony. Like, Reggie Jackson is garbage. No shade to Reggie Jackson, but, like, you can't give him the ball in the fourth quarter when you're up 4. You can't do that, especially when the line was 8. You know what I mean? Like, you can't. When Vegas sets the line at, I think it was actually 3.5. When Vegas sets the line at 3.5 and you're up 4, Reggie Jackson can't have the ball. He can't have the ball. Lakers, we're not going to get into that. We know what they are. They're old. They don't play any defense. Can't rely on LeBron anymore. Like, one night he'll have a great night. And the funny thing about them is, like, they have one good game, and then everybody's like, they're back. Statement win. It's like, they're probably going to lose to Memphis tonight. They probably will. Like, they're 3-point favorites to Memphis, 3.5-point favorites to Memphis. I bet they lose outright. Spurs, there's not a time I remember I enjoyed talking about the Spurs. Even when they had David Robinson, even when they had Tim Duncan, like, every player that they get, even Kawhi Leonard, as electric as Kawhi Leonard is, he's, like, just not a fun player to watch. He's just very robotic, very stiff, very fundamental. Like, they are the chess pass, like, team. Like, that is them. They're the most fundamentally sound. Doesn't matter that they have DeJounte Murray and he's trying to break the mold, and Greg Popovich is giving him the ability to play loose and play free, and he's averaging more triple-doubles than almost anybody else in the league. These are just nuggets of information that you don't care about because the Spurs are not relevant. Yeah, yawn. The Wolves are very fun, but they are nothing. Karl Anthony Towns continues to be soft. Anthony Edwards probably should lead the franchise. This is going to be a team that's up and down because their team's mentality is up and down. D'Angelo Russell sometimes looks like one of the greatest scorers on earth. Vintage Brooklyn Nets, D'Angelo Russell, ice water in my veins. And then the next moment, you're like, is he even on this team? What's happening with Karl Anthony Towns? Why won't they give him the ball? So, yeah, they're fun. And I think these teams are like a piece away from being good. And if you're picking playoff teams from this list, like, it could just be anybody. I mean, you could just pick them. Like, let's do it right now. It's Golden State, Phoenix, Utah. That's 3. Let's choose Clippers 4, Memphis 5, Mavericks 6, Lakers 7, Timberwolves 8, Spurs 9, Nuggets 10, and maybe Portland 11. Let's do that. And then the dregs. Let's talk about the dregs. Portland, Houston, New Orleans, OKC, Kings. I mean, yeah, these teams, outside of Portland, these teams have been a disaster. Portland is in full meltdown mode, as we talked about last episode. New Orleans is probably the worst franchise in the NBA. Like, now we've got new reports that Zion is... I mean, the list... You know what's crazy about Zion is it's like every time we hear news about Zion, he's heavier in the news the next time. It's the next report will be like... And they always make you do math, too. Like, they're like, Zion's slated to be 260, but he's 70 pounds heavier than that. And it's like, what? Why won't you just say he's 350? Like, it'll be like, Zion's playing weight at Duke was 230, and he's 120 pounds heavier than that. It's like, What is happening? That's what they do every single time. And just every time you get a new Zion update, it's that he's like 20, 30 pounds heavier than the last update. And they always make you do math to figure that out. Sheesh. Houston's fun. But nobody thinks that they can sustain this level of success. Not even Steven Silas. God bless him. So is there a team in this list that could ascend? I guess, but I don't see it. Like, maybe the Clippers. Like, Kawhi's not walking through that door. It doesn't look like it right now. Like, what this all means, though, what this all culminates into is, listen, it's a top-heavy league right now with a lot of parity down below and a lot of openings to punch up. So the trade deadline is going to be fucking electric. Because guys are going to know, oh, yeah, there's only 2 good teams, 3 good teams in the West, only 1 good team, 2 good teams in the East. I make a blockbuster trade. I convince these teams like Indiana that they're dog shit. I could steal Miles Turner from them and turn the Nets into a real team with Miles Turner. Like, if I'm the Nuggets, I could steal Karis LeVert from Indiana and turn me into a good team if I give him Kevin Porter or Michael Porter Jr. and, like, maybe some picks. You know more about Michael Porter Jr.'s back than anybody else. Like, could you fleece Indiana? Maybe. There needs to be some movement, and I can see some serious changes happening before the February deadline, and I'm hoping that that's Portland, but I don't actually think that there's anything that we could do to really fix things. So, in summation, we know it's probably the Warriors, Suns, or the Bucks that are going to win it all. There's no real surprise team like there was last year with the Suns. Like, the Suns came out of nowhere. They were supposed to be like a 6 seed, 7 seed. They get Chris Paul. You know, they went undefeated in the bubble. Didn't make the playoffs. Add Chris Paul. Everybody thinks they're going to be better. I thought probably they'd be a 4 seed, 5 seed. A lot of people predicting said they'd be 6 seed, 7 seed. But for them to be a 2 seed, the number 2 seed in basketball, and to make it to the NBA Finals and be 2 games away from winning it all, there's nobody like this in that. There's no Atlanta Hawks. I mean, maybe the Chicago Bulls could mess around and be the Atlanta Hawks this year, but they're not nearly as deep as Atlanta was. They can't sustain the level of injuries that Atlanta consistently has. If the Bulls had the amount of injuries that the Hawks did, I mean, they would be a fucking dumpster fire. They'd probably be an 8 seed right now. So, yeah, who knows? My goal would be to see a Warriors-Suns Western Conference Finals and a Bulls-Bucks Eastern Conference Finals. Like a little drive finals. You could literally drive from Chicago to Milwaukee, boom, boom, sit in 4 hours of traffic, hang out. And then Steph versus Mikal Bridges. And then the finals. Listen, I love the Suns, and I want Chris Paul to get a ring. But how fun would it be to see Drew Holiday try to lock down Steph? My Lord. That would be very fun. So, the most interesting question, I think, to me, is Ben Simmons actually going to get traded this year? Do the Sixers really... Like, I barely even talked about the Sixers. That's how... I mean, and they're winning. I don't know whether they think trading him makes an actual difference for them this year. Tyrese Maxey's been pretty good. Boston, New York, Dallas, Philadelphia, probably the most likely suspects to shake things up. But until then, just prepare. Brace yourself for some ugly basketball. Brace yourself for the New Orleans Pelicans to beat the Brooklyn Nets. Brace yourself for the Oklahoma City Thunder to beat the Milwaukee Bucks. Like, these things will happen. Brace yourself for the Houston Rockets to beat the Atlanta Hawks. Like, these things on a night-to-night basis are so unpredictable because teams are just figuring themselves out. There's injuries and COVID on the loose. COVID's back on the loose, by the way. Rick Carlisle and the entire staff in Indiana, they've got COVID. All the Bulls have COVID. Pretty much everything in the Midwest, Mid-Atlantic has COVID. Kind of like last year when the Wizards gave everybody COVID. So, prepare the wagons at the top to get even more separation and the rest of the league to be in full either chaos, scratch and claw for mediocrity mode, or in full tank mode for the foreseeable future. The one thing I love, though, in the NBA and not in betting is chaos, and that is where we are right now, folks. That is all the time that we have for the Heat Check. We will be back Monday evening with a new episode. Please download. Please subscribe. Please tell all your friends. why don't you leave us some reviews too? Because there's some hater-ass reviews. People from Philly who don't like me because I told them the truth about Ben Simmons, and I laughed in their face when I was right, like a petty person that I am. They are consistently still trolling me. So please write some nice reviews about this podcast here. And please do not forget to follow us at This Heat Check and at Trysta Krick on TikTok. We will see you Monday afternoon.